having a day. All right, so let's start with a rest assess. So go ahead into your rest assess, and then we're gonna move on to some nice compression to juice up our bodies before we do all this craziness. It's like a workout. All right, spotlight. Okay, everybody, let's see how our rest assesses. And every time I forget to put in my AirPods. Un momento, por favor. So take a here we go. Hang on. Hang on, guys. Sorry. I'm having a day. I'm having a day. Nope. Not happening either. Forget it. All right. I'm just going to have to scream because my AirPods aren't popping up. I don't know why. Okay. So let's tune on in. So just tune into the shoulder girdle, the diaphragm, and the pelvis. And really just tune into any instability you sense in there in the shoulder girdle. Notice if you feel like you're just jacked up on your shoulder blades today. Notice your arms if they feel really internally rotated today, if you're unevenly weighted from one side to the other. Turn your head from left to right, noticing your neck turn. And it's not that I'm rushing you through this, I'm just giving you things to think about. But you guys are savvy melters and know how to assess yourselves. So really go inside and sense what you feel is off as far as stability is concerned. We could call it stuck stress, that's fine, but just know we're dealing with neuromuscular instability today. So if we go down to the diaphragm, you've got that big arch going on in your abdomen or in your back. That's showing that you've got some neurological weakness going on, or just it's not firing in the core. But it could also have to do with the shoulder girdle as well. When the masses of the shoulder girdle and the pelvis are off, it's going to alter the core as well. So then look at the pelvis as well. Like for me right now, the first thing I instantly can sense is that I am completely on my left butt cheek and my right one is off. But I'm on my butt cheeks. I'm not on my sacrum, I'm on my butt cheeks, but I'm not stable. I could tell. The backs of the thighs, noticing if those are on or off the floor. Again, that's just showing that you've got instability in the pelvis. So notice that for you, as well as how your legs are resting on the floor, noticing if they feel outturned, one feels toward the ceiling, the feet feel pointed away. Again, that is another sign of the pelvis not being stable. Now, it doesn't have to be perfect and completely even at all times from left to right, but if it's a little off today, we're going to see if we can reacquire some symmetry, a little bit more communication with your dull side and get your over talkative side to quiet down. Yeah. Okay. Divide yourself into your left and right half, noticing your autopilot, noticing if you feel you have more connection on one side versus the other, you feel like a leg is longer. And then do that thing where I have you take a nice deep breath in all sides of your body and just notice how the breath is entering and leaving your body. And then when you're ready, bend your knees, roll on your side, come on up to sitting, take in some water. I'm going to try my AirPods one more time, and if they fail, forget about it. Okay. Where'd you go? Okay, so we are connected. We are connected. Can you guys hear me? Give a thumbs up if you can hear me. Hot damn. Okay, so we're going to start with a little shin just to get ourselves all warmed up here. So to do this one right, we're going to start in our quadruped position. You want to have your feet, your toes on the floor. You're going to have the roller at the top of the shin, or as Sue calls it, the tibial plateau, which is accurate. And we're just doing a little glide up here at the top. Just a little glide. And you can even, if you wanted to, do a little shimmy here, do a little shear, just to start us off, and then wait. But then we're going to shift onto our left shin, and you're going to cross the right ankle over the left. You're going to tip on over onto the outside of that shin, and you're going to start to wiggle that left foot as you come down the shin slowly. The knees are coming downward. The butt cheeks are coming behind you, kind of towards your heels.
And then you're going to turn when you get to the just above the ankle, you're going to turn on the front of the shin and you're going to windshield wipe all the way up to the tibial plateau. And we're going to switch sides. We're going to rinse in a second. This is how quick it is, right? So same thing, you're going to shift over onto the right and you're going to start to mobilize that right ankle. As you cruise down, my knee is going toward the floor. My butt is kind of going behind me. I'm just kind of closing everything in. I'm going to get to my ankle and then I'm going to turn onto the front of my shin and I'm going to windshield wipe all the way back up to the knee. I'm going to go back over to that left side and we're going to rinse it out. So same thing, crossing the ankles and you're going to go down the outside and you're going to go up the front. We're almost done. 2 more. Down the outside, up the front. Last one, you're going to go down the outside, up the front, switch sides. So this is a traveling move a little bit. I got to move myself here. You're going to go down the outside of that right shin and up the front. You're going to go down the outside, up the front. Last chance here, last time, down the outside and up the front. And then just kind of slide on off onto your left side. And we're going to start with a little inner thigh glide and shear. So coming onto your left side, you're going to tip the top of that roller away and put the right leg on top of this and make yourself comfortable. Like I'm finding that I can shift my hips back and get more on the front of my thigh of my left. Right hand goes down. We're going to go into our glide. I am so sore right now because I don't know if you had seen, I'm going to be a massage therapist at this place called Training House, which is like a pretty intense personal training studio, but they have what they call team training, where you can go and have your butt kicked. And for me, it's part of it's one of the benefits of working there. So let's go ahead, get smaller and smaller and shear it. So I've been there twice to work out and it's no freaking joke. And so my inner thighs, like I couldn't even walk the next day and I thought I was in decent shape. Okay, now I'm doing my raise and lower and the cross friction. And I did this yesterday and it still is like so sore. That's okay. My body will get used to it eventually, right? All right, let's hit one more spot. So you're going to come on up. We're going to do it again. So you're just doing a little glide and shear. I'm about in the middle of the thigh here, middle to cruise into the upper third. Just taking your time, nice and easy. You can either let the foot just glide on the floor or use that big toe mount to help decompress the weight of the leg. Figure out where to shear, get smaller and smaller, flex that foot and go ahead and do it. So you figure out if you want to do all 3 or just a couple of them, right? Maybe just one of these shears is enough for you. Cross friction. And wait. Okay, so now you're going to push the roller away first, push it away. And then you want it down toward the knee because you're going to come onto your belly and you're going to get into like this Spider-Man position. I'm going to flip around so you can see it. But for those of you who know what I'm talking about, toes are on the floor. You're going to start gliding on the lower part of the quadricep here. So this is where I am. And what's great here is you can really kind of go inward, get on the inner part of that quadricep, the center, the outside of that quadricep, just gliding along, maybe little circles, getting smaller, and then we can bend and straighten the knee. Or we can just kind of wiggle the leg. And wait. And let's cruise on up to another spot. Oy vey. I'm at about mid-thigh here, the most torturous part. We're making sure that we are on our forearms, but also have that toe onto the floor so we have plenty of support. You can also use that outer knee to help decompress the weight of the leg if it's too much. Remembering to rotate inward a little bit on the outside, and then come on back to the center, getting smaller and smaller. And you can, oh God, help me flex. Flex and extend the knee, or just wiggle it and wait. And now we're going to cruise on up. So I'm going to take my left leg, put it to the side, kind of on top of my right. I'm going to get up to a spot that's not quite on the front and not quite on the side, but somewhere in the middle. And this is basically an intermuscular septum that's pretty tender because it's full of fascia, which means it's full of sensory nerve endings. So you're just cruising along in here. It hurts so good. Get smaller and smaller. And then to shear it, you kind of squeeze the knees together, flex the bottom foot, and you're going to bend and straighten that knee. If you hiss like a cat, it's probably accurate, but no part of melting should ever hurt you, right? You could also do a little cross friction here if you wanted to, and wait. So now I want you to come all the way onto your side. Take that top leg. You want to bend the knee and put the foot square on the floor. And I like to get a little bit more on the posterior part of the upper outer thigh here so that you're kind of on the outside of the IT band. And you're just going to do a little glide here. And then you're going to pause. And to shear it, you can either bend and straighten the knee or just kind of pendulum the leg. Give it a little leg swing. And wait. And now we're going to rinse it. So we're going to come all the way down the leg. I'm doing a full pass rinse today. Flip onto the front and go up the front. And notice I still have that top leg on the floor, top foot on the floor, down the side, up the front. Let's do one more. You go down the side, up the front, and then you could just place your booty right there on the floor and do the other side. So now I'm on my right side. And I'm going to tip that roller away, and here we go. Now I've got my left leg on top for inner thigh glide and shear. Same thing, you can just let the foot glide along the mat, or you can control the movement if it's too much by putting your big toe on the floor, swirling around a little bit. Finding a spot where you want to shear, getting smaller and smaller. And then you flex that foot and bend and straighten that knee. Or raise and lower that foot. Or get your cross friction on. And then extend on out and wait. And let's hit one more spot. So pulling that roller up to about mid-thigh and same thing. Remembering that the inner thigh is such an important piece of tissue to work on, not just on a stability standpoint, but a neurocore standpoint. Is that what I'm trying to say? I don't know what I'm trying to say. I think I'm going to go back to bed and restart my day. It's been a day. Get smaller and smaller. And let's go ahead and shear. Or raise and lower the foot. Or do a little cross friction. And wait. And then go ahead and push the top of that roller away from you. And you want to get it down by the knee. And you're going to get onto the front, onto the forearms. Outdo that right leg. So you kind of have like a tripod thing going on. And you get your glide in here. And then figure out where you want to shear it. I'm going to come right to the center and bend and straighten that knee. Making sure you're not losing core connection here so that you don't want your low back dipping down, right? Or do your little cross friction. And wait. And then you're going to cruise on up to about mid-thigh. Do the same thing. Getting your glide. Gliding a little bit on the outside. Maybe a little bit more on the inside. And then coming back to the center, unless you want to shear somewhere else. Man, bending and straightening. A lot of squats, a lot of lunges, a lot of kettlebell swings. I never did kettlebell swings before. Oh my God. And then cross friction. And wait. All right, so now we're going to find that spot that's not quite on the outside, it's not quite on the front, but somewhere in the middle, in that interosseous or intermuscular septum. And we're going to start our glide here. Cruising around. It is tender. This is, if you sit a lot, this is definitely a band of tissue that's pretty locked. Pausing here, let's go ahead and shear it by bending and straightening that bottom leg. We're doing a little cross friction. And waiting. And then come all the way onto the side, going just a little past the side. And then putting that top foot down, and you could start your glide here. Right on that upper outer thigh. Ooh, it's so tender, right? Get smaller and smaller, and you can shear it by either bending and straightening the knee or doing that little pendulum. And waiting. And then rinsing. Here we go. We're going to go down the side, up the front. You guys are going to be really happy we're doing this torturous hydration before the next bag of stuff we're about to do. Down the side, up the front. One more. Let's go down the side and just slide on off there. All right. Put the roller off to the side for a hot second and stand on up. Okay. So now we're going to move on. And we're going to start with just doing a quick little standing assessment because we're here, and why not? So you want to place your feet side by side like you would as if you're about to do a foot treatment, right? And then go ahead and put your arms down at your sides and close your eyes for a second and just notice your footprint. Notice how you're standing. If you feel a little uneven from left to right, notice if you feel like you're gripping the floor, maybe your muscles are locked out, but maybe they're not. Maybe you sense something different because you did that lower body compression to start us off. So just kind of notice that. But also notice how your arms are resting at your sides. So for me, my left thigh is touching my left thumb is touching my left thigh, and my right one is like floating away. I don't know where it's gone. It's gone. It's just nowhere near. And then go ahead and open your eyes. So just a quick little check-in. So staying exactly where you are. Let's see if we remember that releve. So you want to think about pushing the mat away, but you want to have that nice little float of the tailbone. And without pitching forward, can you come straight on up? Think about going pinky to big toe. And then once you're here, we're going to start the accordion fold. You're going to think about the knees bending, the hips going back. So you're going to find a hip crease. As you come down, you're still in that releve, right? But then you're going to stop at a certain point and see if you can put the feet or the heels down and then push on up. I'll give you a side view. So again, we want to think about going out to come up into our releve. You're going to pause at the top, and then you're going to start to think about the hips go back, the knees bend, but the knees don't buckle in. Can you keep those knees straight forward as you come down? You're going to send the heels down to the floor. It's really going to give you an idea and push on up of ankle flexion if you've got it. Let's try it again 2 more times. We're going to push out to come up. And then again, you're going to think the hips are going to go back, the knees are going to bend. Can you keep those knees from buckling inwards, or are they buckling inwards? It's just information, and remember it. And we're going to send the heels down, and we're going to push to come on up. Last one, you want to think out to come up. And then you want to think sending the hips back, bending the knees. And come down to a certain point. You're going to send those heels down and push on up. I'm not going to make us do the reverse today. No, not today. Okay, so let's see if we can get a little bit of improvement in that one. If you were finding that your knees are buckling in, that's showing you've got some lateral hip instability going on. So we're going to do side hip hero. So I have I'm just moving this up a little farther. Sorry if it's going to make you dizzy. It's on wheels. So I'm pulling this up so that you can see me a little closer. Okay, so we're going to start. I have my performance roller or my travel roller because I don't have a lot of wall space. And where I want you guys to put the roller is in literally the side of your hip. So you've got like that divot in the side of your hip, and that's where this sucker's going to go. And once you're there, I'm going to turn it so it's right side up. Otherwise, that's going to drive you nuts. So you're going to find your wall. You're going to put your hip up against the roller, up against the wall. That was the original name of the move. So I'm on my left hip, and I'm going to put my left foot all the way against the wall. Okay. Now we're going to be working, the side that's going to be working is actually the right hip. So what we need to do is you want to look down. We're going to line our feet up. First off, you want to make sure that you are completely square, right? So you're not twisted. You want to make sure that your hips are perpendicular to the roller, your ASIS, your 4-point square, completely pointing forward. Look down at the right foot, and you want to bring it in a little bit, more than you think. And it's going to feel like you're going to fall over to the side, but you're not, trust me. So the foot is directly beneath your hip, okay? And you should be able to see it. And then you're going to stand, you're going to make sure you're up nice and tall. I want you to think about the tailbone floating, not total like crazy tilt. And then all I want you to do now is find the big toe mound outside the foot, center of the heel on the right foot. You're standing nice and tall on that leg. Think about finding some lift. And I want you to think about just now, press the left foot against the wall. And right then you might find that that right hip starts to fire. So we have a few rounds of what we're doing here. So if I'm going to talk through each round, and if you need to quit, that's okay. Okay, so all I want you to do now is just decompress the weight of the left foot and just bend that knee a little bit so that it's up. And right from here, all I want you to do is you're going to start to bend your knee of the right side. The right knee bends, but you're not going to twist, you're not going to fall forward. And then you're going to think about pushing the hip into the roller as you push back on up to standing while keeping that 4-point square, right? So the hip doesn't lift, not yet. It's just pushing. It's an idea more than a thing. So let's try it again. We're going to bend that right knee, making sure it's not buckling in. And then you want to think it's more of an idea than a thing. Your right footprint is pressing into the floor as you push back on up with an idea of pushing the hip up against the roller, up against the wall. 2 more times. You're going to bend. And then again, keep that 4-point square. If you want to put your hands on top of your hips, just for this one, you're going to push and come back up to standing. One more. You're going to bend the knee. And you're going to push as you come on back up. Okay, now we're going to get to mess with the hips a little bit. So from here, I want you to think the left hip is going to get lazy. It's going to go down, but you're not going to bend in the torso. You're just going to let that hip get lazy. And then from here, you're going to push that left hip into the roller to bring it back up to square. Not about what's moving, it's about what's staying stable. Once you get to square, you're going to find that right hip really fires. 3 more here. So again, you're going to let that left hip get lazy, only like an inch or so. And then again, find that footprint on the right foot to push the hip up against the roller, up against the wall to come back up to square. Oh my God, 2 more. Dropping that hip down. And then you're going to push, come back up to square. Last one, we're going to come on down. And then you're going to push to come back up to square. If you want to quit here, now's the time. For those who want to keep going, here we go. You're going to stay tall in that right leg as you bring the left knee on up, and you're going to swing it behind you. Keeping that 4-point square, there is no bending in the torso. This is total differentiation. You're differentiating the left leg from everything else while your right hip burns on fire. Bring that knee up for number 3 and bring it back behind us without arching the back. Last one, you're going to bring it up. You're going to bring it back, and then you're going to bring it up again. Add-on challenge. Now's your time to quit. Cross the arms over the chest, thinking about pushing that hip up against the wall. You're going to rotate your torso toward the wall without rotating your pelvis. And back to center. You're going to rotate outward and back to center. One more time. Rotate to the left, back to center. Holy crap. Rotate to the right, back to center. Push and let it go. If you did that one right, you can hardly walk on your right leg right now. Right here is where you feel it. If you felt it in your knees or anything else, you were not quite in the right pathway. Maybe you weren't setting it up right. Okay, other side. Here we go. So now you'll know exactly where you want to put this roller because that part of your hip is on fire. That's where you're going to put the roller. And you're going to come up against the wall. I just turn this a little bit more. Okay. Nelly, it's a tough one, right? Okay, so same thing. We're in that spot up against the wall. You're going to take your right foot, put it up against the wall. All right, so the side of that foot is there. Now we got to line up our left foot. So again, it's going to feel like it's in too close, like you're going to fall over, but you won't. So you just, it's in farther than you think, but you want to make sure the feet are lined up. You don't want one in front of the other. You've got your 4-point square completely straight forward, right? Making sure you find your footprint, big toe mound outside the foot, center of the heel. You want to find that tailbone lifted, pubic bone heavy. And then once you're standing tall in that left leg, then you just want to think about pushing the right foot up against the wall. And if you're in the right spot and you're set up right, you're going to find it's going right here in the hip. And then once you're there, you're going to lift that right knee on up and you're going to pause here. Okay. So again, if you want to place your hands on your hips to find your 4-point square, go do that. You're standing nice and tall in that left leg, and we're going to start to bend our knee. And if the knee starts to buckle in, that's information. And then we're going to think about pushing without adjusting our hips to come back up. We're going to do that 3 more times. So this is kind of like the warm-up. Just bend the knee and think about pushing, coming on up. If you want to, you could put your inner foot up against the wall to stabilize you and just give it a gentle push. You might find that you feel it a little bit better. And back on up. Last one. We're going to come on down and you're going to push and come on back up to square. Now we're going to go for lazy stance. Okay. So you have your hands on your hips. You're standing tall in the left foot, finding that footprint. You're going to let the right hip go down just a little bit, let it get a little lazy. And then you're going to push the foot on the left to help push the right hip up against the roller, up against the wall to bring it back up to square. 3 more. Again, if this is too much, you can quit right here. That's fine. And then again, push to come back up to square. So you're not allowing the torso to side bend. You're just letting that left or right hip go down just a couple inches. That's all it can do. And then you're going to push the right hip up against the roller back up to square. Last one, you're going to come on down. And then you're going to push back on up. Again, you can quit right here. For the rest of you want to keep going, we're going to bring that right knee on up, standing tall on that left leg, and you're going to swing in slow motion that leg backwards. You're going to bring it on up to the front and on back. Nothing else is moving except that leg, and you are super stable in that left hip. It's on fire. Last one. Here we go. We're going to come on up. You're going to swing it on back, and then you're going to bring that knee on up, add on challenge. Here we go. Again, feel free to quit. Cross the arms over the chest. You're standing tall on that left hip, and you're going to turn your torso to the right. The hips stay forward. Hips don't move. Come on back to center. Hips stay square. 4-point square stays forward. You're only rotating the top of the pelvis back, or top of the ribs. Back to center. Now we're going to rotate in again. Back to center. Rotate outward. Oh my God, it's on fire. Back to center. Think about standing tall, pushing a little bit more, and let it go. I hope that was fun. If you did that one right, you got it on fire. Flames are coming out of your lateral hip. All right. Wasn't that fun? So much fun. We have so much more to do. Okay, so now let's get your big roller. We're going to use it as a measuring device. We're going to move on to plie squat. You guys are going to be sore tomorrow. Just so you'd like to know. All right, so you put your roller here and you want to measure out your feet. Now, this isn't going to work for all of you. For some of you might find that this gives you too big of a plie, in which case just pull it in. You don't want to be way out here. You don't want to be in too close, somewhere in the middle. All right. Okay. So once you're there, it's not a genuine ballet V. It's only like just slightly outward. Yeah. So once you're there, I'm going to move this out so you can see what I'm doing. You're going to just come down to a plie. Okay. So the first thing I want you to do is I want you to look and see if your knees are going directly over your toes, knees over the toes. If you find that your feet are poking out, just tuck it under the knee. Just tuck it under a little bit, right? And then we're going to actually manipulate our tissue. So you're going to take your hands and you're going to grip by the knee and you're going to twist outward, outward, outward. So we're like giving ourselves a little glide, a little passive shear here, right? And then go over the other side, same thing. You're just going to twist the flesh and then you're going to twist it back down. And then you're going to take the heels of your hand, stick them in your hip crease and just kind of smush it. You're just trying to find some room in the hip crease here, yeah? In the hip joint. Okay, gave ourselves a little bit of manual therapy. So now, pubic bone is heavy, tailbone floating. You're not pitching forward, you're going to come down a little bit more and you're going to wait. Now, here's the thing. I want you to think you're pushing outward. You're finding the big toe mound outside the foot, center of the heel, and the knees are going slightly behind you. If you want to even take your fingertips, put them behind your knees and just kind of gently press out. That's an idea. Yeah. Okay. So you're still thinking the outward pushing as you come up. And once you're up, you're going to then think again, you're going to push those feet away. The knees are going a little bit behind you, but you are in your big toe mound outside the foot, center of the heel. Yeah. You're going to come down. Don't pitch forward. Tailbone is still lifted. Again, here we go. Pushing out to come up. It's so weird and it's so difficult, but it's so good. And you're going to push out to come down. So again, you want to I like to take a peek, make sure I'm still over my feet. Yep. And then you're going to push out to come up. We got 2 more here. Find your course. Coming on down, pushing out. Yep, those tailbone stays lifted. You're not pitching forward. Again, pushing out to come up. You're going to feel this all underneath your butt cheek too. Last one, here we go. You're pushing out to come down. Yep. And then you're pushing out to come up. And then we're going to come down again, but we're going to come down a little bit lower. And then we're going to come halfway up. And then we're going to come all the way down. We're going to come all the way up. We're going to go halfway down, all the way up, all the way down, halfway up, all the way up, all the way down, halfway up, all the way down. And now we're going to pulse it for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold it all the way up and let it go. So if you did that one right, you're going to find a lot of work in the inner thigh. You're going to find that your lower fibers of glutes felt like you got a little, like if someone had a harness underneath you here. If you felt that all in your quadriceps, where your knee was all funky, it may not have been quite the right spot. Your femur might not have been rotated out the way you wanted it to. Okay. All right. Last move. We're doing the dreaded hover lunge. Okay. So this one's pretty brutal. If it's not something you want to do at all, I will not blame you from bailing on this one. You could try it another day. So this is going to be hard for me because, like I said, I did a bunch of lunges and stuff yesterday. Okay, so my left foot is forward. So it's the left glute we're going to be working on. This is to help get a good firing of the lower fibers glutes. What you're going to do is you're going to bring the leg down of the right side to be on, like we were at the top of shin, right? Okay, to set yourself up for success, you want to make sure you are in good alignment. You have a nice 90-degree angle. You're going to really identify the big toe mound outside the foot, center of the heel. You want to make sure your hips are square. Okay, and you've got your toes on the floor on the right side. Now, to really do this one right, you're going to think you have these nice square pelvises, right? And if your left hip is dropping, I want you to square off your pelvis, your 4-point square. You are going to hinge at your hips. And the minute you do that, you're going to start to find more of the work on that left hip. The right foot is light. You're going to find that big toe mound, right? And I want you to think, you're going to think about angling, energizing that left hip toward the floor. Breath on in, on the exhalation, pushing into that left foot. You're just going to decompress the right shin and you're going to hover. And then you're going to come on down. Don't let it go though. Breath on in. Don't find that left glute and you're going to push like you're a torpedo going out. You're going away, and then come on down. We got 2 more here. Breath on in, find your core, 4-point square. You're thinking about shooting out of a cannon, but you're only going a little bit off that roller. And back down. Last one, breath on in, exhale. You want to think you're pushing. And again, you want to think you're trying to push the left foot down and then down. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to go a little more for the pattern. You're going to push into that foot. You're going to come up and straighten that back leg. Then you're going to slowly come down, put all the work into that left hip, Think about it coming down toward the floor. Exhale, push up for 2 and back down. 2 more here. You're going to push, straighten that back leg like you're shooting out of a cannon and back down. That left butt cheek is going down toward the floor. Shooting up. Last one. You're going to shoot and come on down. Now we're going to go for the pattern. Here we go. You're going to tap and come up for 1, tap and come up for 2, tap and come up for 3. Last one, tap and come up for 4 and come on off. And limp away. Okay, so that was really hard. So if you did that one right, again, all the work is in the hip. Have you guys abandoned me or are you all still here? It's terrible, right? Let's do the other side. Okay, so now my right foot is coming forward. So I'm gonna be working on this right glute and I'm gonna bring that left shin down. I'm on the toes. Again, you got to make sure you set yourselves up right. If you have your leg out too far, that won't work. So you got to get that 90-degree angle of the knee and the foot. You're going to square off the hips. And if the roller goes flying away behind you, you are using the back leg too much, right? So find your 4-point square. You're going to find the big toe mound outside the foot center of the heel, and you're going to hinge forward at the hips. The minute you hinge forward, you really start to feel the work here. You should lessen the work on that back leg. You're going to square off those hips. And again, you want to think the right hip is trying to go down a little bit, right? It's more of an idea than a thing. You could also think about the pubic bone angling toward the right heel. Breath on in, on the exhalation, push through that footprint, and you're just going to come up and you're going to hover and you're going to hover in that lunge. And then you're going to come on down. We got 3 more. Breath on in, push and hover. Yeah, really think if the work is in the glute and down. 2 more. Breath on in, exhale, push. You're just hovering and down. Last one, you're gonna push and you're gonna hover and come on down. Now we're gonna do it again. You're gonna push, but you're gonna straighten that back leg like you're trying to like shoot out of a cannon. And again, the coming down, if you think about that right hip coming down toward the floor, you'll really get it. You're going to push and torpedo yourself, and then eccentric contraction coming down. So it's in the glutes, not in the quad. 3, and down, nice and slow, but then you want to think that hip is going down. Last one, you're going to push and up, and then come on down. Now we're going to go for the pattern. Really find your footprint. Here we go. Up and down for 1, up and down for 2, up and down for 3, up and down for 4, and then push and bring that opposite knee on up. I think I did that counting wrong, but I was just trying to survive. Okay, so again, if you found that all the work is in your quadricep, where you found the back leg was doing all the work, you weren't quite in the right pathway, it's a very, very, very challenging move to do. So if it was a crash and burn, no worries, you can try and do it another day. Mine was not ideal today, I have to say, because I'm tired. Okay, so let's find our feet side by side. We're going to reassess that accordion fold. So again, think about the releve, right? So find your tailbone, pubic bone is heavy. I'm so out of breath. You're going out to come up. You're going to pause at the top. And then you're going to send the hips back. You're going to bend those knees. And notice if now you don't really buckle the knees in. It's still challenging, but send those heels down and push on up. Let's try that 3 more times. Out to come up, pausing at the top, and then starting to send the hips back, knees forward. When you come down, you're going to send those heels down. You're going to push to come on up, out to come up. Bend those knees, send those hips back. I'm a little wobbly in my feet. I'm going to send it down, push on up. Last one, you want to go out to come up. Send those hips back, knees forward, just noticing if it's a little bit easier to do, you have a little more control, just showing you got a little good integration in the hips. Beautiful. And you might have rubber legs right now, which is understandable. Come on down, let's rest reassess. So that was some lower body, all lower body all the time. Let's see how that made a difference. Okay, so for me, I don't know about you, but I actually can sense my gluteal fold. I actually can get a sense of it. I'm more evenly weighted on both pelvi. And interestingly, I now feel like my right leg is a little more flopped open to the side than my left. It's just something I'm noticing. And if I indirectly think about things, I have less of an arch in my back. And if I turn my head from left to right, my neck feels a little less cranky. I know I didn't do a standing reassess. I just realized that. Okay. Note to self for Friday. Okay. So go ahead, bend your knees, roll into your side. Come on up, taking a sip of water and all right, I'm going to skip that thing. We're going to do a little upper body compression just to the arms. I was going to have us do arm and hammers. If we have time later, we'll do that. But I really do want to get in the seated arm fans instead of arm and hammers. Okay, so let's just go right into upper body compression. So just getting the roller at the top of the upper back, just doing our little glide here. Just remembering to keep the head nice and relaxed. In the hands, you're not yanking on your neck. Your pelvis is nice and low. Your ribs are curled, right? We're just at this upper 1/3 portion. Get a little smaller and a little smaller here. You're going to tuck that pelvis, put it back down onto the floor and curl forward in the ribs, and then go into your shear with your small little side bones from side to side. And wait. And then let's hit that second spot where we're going to go down a little farther down the back and hit a little glide and shear here. Feels like a cool down a little bit, right? Get smaller and smaller here, tucking that pelvis, putting it down, curling forward in the ribs, and doing a little side bending. And wait. And then let's hit the right shoulder blade, the inner shoulder blade, reach that left elbow toward the ceiling, lift the pelvis, and you get right onto that inner shoulder blade. Just cruising around the bottom edge, the inner edge, finding a spot where you need to shear, maybe circling around a little bit. I've got a lot of gunk on my upper part, so I'm going to edge up next to it. I'm going to put that right butt cheek down and I'm going to clam my elbow. We're just going to do one shear today. Let's just stick here, just in the interest of time. Opening and closing and waiting. And then come onto your right side. And we're going to first start with our little combo move here, where you just kind of have and I like this because we're about to do external rotation. So by doing this little combo glide, you get on the posterior aspect of the deltoid, which I like. So just notice how that feels. And then you want to, if the roller went up too much, you want to just reposition it down, tip the elbow away and get on that outer shoulder blade. Remembering that we're just kind of thinking about doing like a curl inward, right? And that roller's going to cruise up a little bit more, get smaller and smaller here. And then again, we'll just do this one together, just opening and closing the elbow and waiting. And then if you put your elbow on the head side on the floor and use that to decompress your ribs and pull that roller down to about the bra line. And then right from here, lift, you can, straighten out that arm on the floor and you can go into your rib glide here. So by having the arm more out to the front, it's just going to position you better on the ribs. So we're just doing a little rib glide here and waiting. And then take your left hand to push yourself on up and we're going to get onto the shoulder. So you want to get onto the arm and resting the forehead onto the opposite hand as you relax that forearm onto the roller. And just go ahead and glide on that upper arm. So we managed to hit the posterior aspect of the shoulder, and now this is getting more on the lateral part and the front part, anterior part. Get smaller and smaller, and then to shear it, you can either raise and lower the hand, or just move kind of saw the arm forward and back, and wait. And then cruise on over to the other side. I'll meet you there. And now we want to lift the right elbow up toward the ceiling to get on the inner shoulder blade of the left side, cruising up and down. Oh man, oh man. I have a lot of lumps and bumps here. So find a spot to shear. It's going to be tricky for me. It's all lumpy and bumpy. And then I'm going to put that left butt cheek down and just open and close the left elbow. And wait. And then come all the way onto the left side with your head resting in your hand. And you can start with that twofer right here. So it's just nice to get that outside of the shoulder aspect. And then the roller kind of creeps up more and more. So I'm going to move the roller down a little bit. I'm going to tip the elbow away and get onto my outer shoulder blade. A lot of tenderness in here because, again, you get a lot of fascia in here attaching the arm onto the torso. It's not really how it works, but it's just easy to explain it that way. Smaller and smaller. And then we're just going to open and close the elbow right here to shear it. And then relax. And then again, put the elbow on the opposite side of the roller to decompress the weight of your ribs and pull it down, put the roller down to your bra line, extend that bottom arm out, and then go into your glide. And if you want to, you can use your top hand to help you with this one, where you actually use your hand to maneuver the roller going up and down the ribs. That's helpful. And then you can relax your head in your hand again. And then use that right hand to push yourself on up and tuck that left arm in towards you. Bring that left shoulder down. Relax your head into your right hand and go into your glide here. Okay. Again, you're kind of more on the anterior and lateral part of the shoulder here. And then get smaller and smaller and shear it by either or both. I like to do both, internal, external rotation or flexion and extension. And wait. And then let's rinse it out. So we're going to get that roller back to the upper back, hands behind the head. Breath on in, exhale, make sure those hips are down, ribs are curled, and push through the feet to steamroll down the spine. Use your sound, use your core sound. Reset your feet. Come on up, breath on in. One more time. Just out of curiosity, let's do a quick reassess. Just notice what this did to anything in your pelvis. It's always fun to see the indirect changes after doing something like that. So it actually corrected my pelvis. Like I feel now evenly weighted. Now my left leg feels more flopped out than my right. It's so interesting. And I feel more in my tailbone now than I did before, probably because I just sat down funny. But notice your shoulder girdle. Notice if you feel like you have more of a distinct curve. Turning your head from left to right. Notice if that helped or jacked up your neck. Okay. Let's come back on up, grab your band, have your band nearby, I should say. So we're gonna sit atop our roller, and we're going to do a little seated compression to start. So you want hands in front of the roller, and we're just going to start by gliding over our sit bones. So this is a setup as well as an education, as well as a little foot exercise, right? It's a three-fer, not even a two-fer, it's a three-fer. So if you think about the big toe mound staying on the floors, you go backwards, you notice your arch increases. It's just a way to strengthen that. But you're also noticing, is one tailbone, one sit bone ahead of the other, just showing you still have some instability going on in the hips. But I feel pretty good. I mean, we did that whole standing sequence. So now I'm going to get my sit bones on my foot side of the roller. And I'm not going to do tail triangle glide today. We're just going to bring everything together, tip on over to the left and get on to that left deep hip. Just cruising on in there. I was going to do clams, but not today. I think we've done enough for the pelvis today. And get smaller and smaller here, and you can shear it by clamming the leg or extending that leg on out and rocking over the hip. And if you want to do cross friction here, you got to go all the way over off your butte, and you can cross friction here because you got to get off your that nerve, sciatic nerve, and wait. And you want to have the left foot meeting the right, and you're going to slide on off the roller, getting onto that left forearm and get onto the side hip. This feels really nice after standing and doing all that torture, right? You're just massaging out the booty. Find a spot where you want to shear, and then we clam it. Extend that leg on out and roll over the hip. I like to go all the way over, so I end up like on that front part, where you do a little cross friction. And wait. And let's do the other side. So you're going to sit on up tall, and then we're going to tip on over to the right side and get onto that deep hip on the right side. Everything's so tender on me today. I think I really woke up on the wrong side of the bed. I've been cranky since I woke up this morning. So strange. I think because my husband's out of town, he went out of town on business, and it's just weird being here without him because he's usually here all the time. I'm usually the one who leaves. Okay, let's go ahead and clam that right knee. Extend that leg on out and roll on over. And if you want it, go all the way over onto the right and do your cross friction. And wait. Right foot meets the left, and you're going to ooze on down onto that side hip. I have to say, it feels so nice to do this, like getting a massage after a workout, right? That's what it feels like to me. But we're not done. Okay, find your spot to shear and go ahead and clam. Or extend that leg on out. You want to rock over the hip. Or get some cross friction in. And wait. And then you're going to find your core, and you're going to sit tall back on top of your roller. Okay, so we're going to go into the arm fans. And let me just pull myself a little bit closer here. So we're going to try it without the band first, just to make sure you guys are in the right spot. And some of you, Jan, you might need a half roller for this one. It might be a better position for you. So for some people, being on the full roller is just uncomfortable. So just notice that for you. So, okay, so I want you to have your feet hip width apart in front of you, and you're going to take the backs of your forearms and place them right on top of your thighs. And what I want you to think about is like as if you're trying to scrape goo off your forearms, right? And you're going to scrape it until you get about 3/4 of the way down. No, 1/4 of the way down, a third. So you've got lots of clearance right here. And if you think about pushing not your thighs into your elbows, but you want to think, and it's more forearms than elbows anyway, but you're thinking about pressing it so that you get a nice little engagement of serratus in here. And then it's from there that you're going to keep that engagement of the forearms and you're going to go into external rotation, just like we do with standing arm fans. Yep. And back to center. Okay, so that's the move. So grab your band. And if this doesn't work for you, just remember we have side laying arm fans, standing arm fans, quadruped arm fans, lots of arm fanny stuff to do. Okay, so you're going to grab the band at about, I don't know, on either side of the logo. And again, you're thinking about scraping that goo off your forearms so that you can get into that J pose, right? So you're going to scrape the goo off, going to go down. So you really have great contact of the forearms onto the thighs. You have no slack in between your hands. You're going to take a breath in. I want you to press the forearms into the thighs and go into external rotation and pause. No bending at the wrist. You're not breaking the wrist and you're not side bending the wrist. You're going to come back to center and you're going to wait. 3 more times. Again, re-engage. You want to think about pressing the forearms into the thighs as you go into external rotation. If you're doing this one right, it's right in the shoulders. If you're feeling it in your neck, please drop the band and do it without the band. Come on back to center and wait. 2 more. Press, external rotation and pause. And back to center. 1 more time. Press, external rotation and pause. And back to center. Now we're going to go for the pattern. If you're done, you could quit right here. We're going to press. We're going to open and close and in for 1. Open and in for 2. Don't let it come from the wrist. Open and in for 3. Last one. Open and in for 4. Hold it. Let go of the band. Stay where you are though. And let's external rotation and combine it with internal rotation. External rotation. So remember, we're adding in the tuba. External rotation. And in last one, external rotation, internal, and let it go. It's a tough move, that one. I love doing it seated though. For me, that's one of my favorite ones. Okay, all right, do seated leg lift. I need the half roller because I tend to hyperextend my knees. So you can do the same. So if you are using the half roller, it's going to go underneath your calves. The goal of this move is to get the center of the thigh to engage right here. So if at any time you feel that the hip flexors are cramping, I feel you, sisters, because I have that issue too. So we're going to start with the right leg. And the key here is in positioning, right? It's all about the setup. Hands are going to go wide, wide, wide on either side of the roller. And you're going to think about pushing into the roller to lift yourself up tall and hinge forward like we did with the hover and lunge. Okay, hinging forward is key. Leaning back is cheating. You're going to flex that right foot. You're going to take a breath on in. And on the exhalation, while you're pushing up and hinging forward, you're going to think about reaching that right heel away. And you're going to just see if you can lift that leg and let it go. I got a little bit of a hip cramp. Let's try it on the opposite side. I know what to do. I've got a serape problem. Okay. So Tony, when I go back over to the other side, this one's for you too. So you're going to think about pushing, hinging, flexing that left heel, and you're going to think about reaching it and lifting it. Hold it and let it go. Okay. Right side again. Here's the pro tip. Tony, you and I probably need the same thing because you and I have the same serape problem. You want to think about slight external rotation and pushing that right hip into the roller. So if some of you were getting that hip cramp, try that pro tip. Okay, flex that right foot. You're hinging forward, pushing. You're going to think about slight external rotation, breath on in. On the exhalation, you're going to reach that heel. Think about energizing that hip into the roller and put it down. That totally 100% did it for me. One more time on the opposite side. Pushing up, hinging forward, flexing that foot. If you need slight external rotation, breath on in, exhale, reach that heel, angle that hip into the roller and lift it and let it go. We're just going to do the reintegration today. I hope that was fun. If you did that one right, some of you might feel like you got a cramp in the middle of your thigh, or like it feels like somebody jabbed like an ice pick right in the center of your thighs. That means you did it right. It's just you just hit a little bit better. Okay, so that's just the brief one I wanted to do right there. Now we're going to move into the money. Okay. Seated oblique twist. No, you don't need the half roller for protection with this one. So here it's a little bit different. You want to think about getting more like you're about to do tail triangle glide, right? But the legs are going to stay straight. And you're going to think about tucking that pelvis. Start with the hands nice and wide behind you. You're tucking that pelvis. Core is engaged. Yeah. So you've got a good tuck of the pelvis, core is nice engaged, and the hands are light for now, just so you can get that. Now I want you to think about pushing the hands into the mat, but you're still maintaining that tuck. So the first thing I want you to do is you're going to put more focus of pushing the right hand into the floor. Take a breath on in, and on that exhalation, you're going to push that hand on in and just decompress the left and lift it and put it back down. We're going to do it on the opposite side. Again, you got to find your core with this one because it's 100% core. So now we've got the left hand that's going to be pressing into the floor. Breath on in. On the exhalation, decompress the right hand off and hover it, and then put it back down. We're going to try one more time on each side. I think we're just going to do 2 sets today. So again, we got that nice tuck of the pelvis. You're pushing the right hand on in, and you're going to lift the left hand on up. So you're not shrugging the shoulders, and then you're going to come on back. Last time, opposite side. So left hand is pressed in, breath on in. You're going to lift, and you're going to put it down. Now we're going to go into the twist. Here we go. So breath on in, exhale, press the right hand on in. You're going to lift the left, and you're going to rotate over to the right, pushing still into the right hand. Push, 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 and then back down. Same thing. You got to push out. The hand that's on the floor has to push the entire time. Breath on in, exhale, find your core, press that left hand. You're going to lift the right, pushing. You're going to rotate, keep pressing. You're going to rotate back. One more time each side. Here we go. Pressing the right, lifting the left. Keep pressing the right as you rotate over, and you rotate back, and you put that down. Last time, press. Lift that right, rotate over to the right, rotate back, and you put it down. Okay, relax. Slide on off that roller. And let's just rinse a couple more times. I'm just feeling like I need to rinse. One more rinse. And then let's do a little rib length. So bring that roller to a position where the bottoms of the shoulder blades are on the foot side of the roller. Open the elbows wide, curl forward to make sure you can identify the bottoms of the ribs. Breath on in. On the exhalation, just extend the tops of the ribs on top of the roller. Pause, take a couple of breaths in here. Find the length, right? And if you think about on the exhalation, where you're almost trying to reach the top of your head away from your spine. And then let's side bend over to the right. Take a breath into the left ribs. Come on back to center, side bend over to the left. Take a breath into those right ribs. Exhale. Beautiful. Come on back to center. Come all the way down onto the ground and put the roller behind your backs of thighs, and let's just passive share it out. So now we get to cool down here, right? Oh my God, torture, Amanda, torture. So just getting a little hydration on the tops of the backs of thighs. This might be sore to you. I don't know. It is to me, but I don't know what's causing my soreness these days. And wait. Let's hit the middle thigh, pushing it down. Just really dragging and twisting that flesh. Nice and slow. Don't rush this one. Just drink in the deliciousness of this passive shear. Letting your heart rate come down if it got up. But mine goes up because I'm also cueing, so, right? And wait. And then let's hit that spot just above the knee because it's a good spot to hit. even though we got all that beautiful hydration in this morning. You know, seems like hours ago we started, right? An hour or so ago doing lower body hydration. And wait. And then let's move it down just one spot on the calf. And I'm just going to stick with both legs at the same time. Just doing both, keeping the ankles nice and relaxed. I'm going to send them both over to the left to glide, and I'm going to glide as I go back to center, then glide over to the right, and then glide as I go back to center. And I'm going to do like the outside frog to the inside penguin, outside frog, inside penguin. Maybe I'll reverse it. So find your spot to shear. Maybe it's just in the center, get smaller and smaller. And then we can do it by mobilizing our ankles, pointing and flexing our feet, rocking from out to in, left to right, or dragging the flesh for cross friction. Out and in, pinning and dragging, and waiting. And let's get this roller back under our pelvis and making sure you're in that right position, PSIS on the head side of the roller. And then go ahead and bring your knees on into your chest. And that just feels amazing right there. Sending those knees slightly away to do our SI joint shear. So I'm going to stop on the left side or at 11 o'clock, and I'm going to do my two knees first. I'll let just the left knee go. I'll march my knees forward and back. And wait. And then go on over to the opposite side. Getting some circles here with both knees. Making sure to keep those circles nice and small, not too big. The ribs stay stable and quiet. Maybe just let the right knee go. I'm going to keep my circles small today. I don't feel like doing my little differentiation test because I'm too tired and I know I'm going to fail it. Let's be honest. I'm fried. Rocking the knees forward and back. And waiting. And let's bring those knees back to center. You're going to place the hands on the front of the thighs. We're going to do a little tuck and tilt challenge here. Shoulders are relaxed, palms on the front of the thighs. Pelvis is relaxed on top of the roller. Ribs are heavy. Breath on in. On the exhalation, gently press the thighs into the hands. Feel your core engage and tuck your pelvis. Shoulders stay where they are. Everything else is relaxed. Take a sip of air on in. On the exhalation, keeping the pressure of the thighs in the hands, you're going to untuck your pelvis. In doing this, you're already sensing traction in the low spine. Breath on in. Exhale, pressing the thighs in the hands. You're going to tuck the pelvis. Breath on in. Exhale, you're going to untuck the pelvis. One more time. Sip air on in. You're going to tuck that pelvis. Sip air on in, keeping the pressure of the thighs into the hands. We're going to untuck that pelvis. We're going to stay here and take 3 breaths to decompress our low back. Breath on in. Exhale, press the thigh into the hands. Ribs flare to the floor. Pelvis gets wide, and the knees are levitating toward the ceiling. Ease back your intention. 2 more breaths. Pelvis heavy. Feel the traction. 1 more breath. Beautiful. Release the hands. Put your left foot down onto the floor. I want you to flex your right foot. You're going to kick that right leg low and long. You're going to find the weight of the pelvis already on top of the roller. Left foot is already light. You're flexing that heel. You're bringing it up toward the ceiling. You're going to pause before the knee bends or the foot goes past the ceiling. Really think about that pelvis being heavy on top of the roller as you reach the heel toward the ceiling. Breath on in, exhale. Pelvis heavy. Feel that line of pull from hip to heel. One more breath. And I want you to bend that knee. Keep that foot flexed as you cross the right ankle over the left knee. Find your core and bring all legs, all two of them, in toward your chest. And just because we can, I want you to rock your legs over to the left and just feel that nice booty stretch on the right, because it's just nice, right? But then we're going to come on back to center. We're going to keep that right ankle flexed. You're going to place your right hand on your right thigh and send that away. Left hand is either going to go behind your left thigh or on the foot. You're going to take a breath on in, and on the exhalation, you're going to do a push pull. You're going to push the right thigh up and away while pulling that left thigh in, keeping your square torso, square pelvis. And then you're going to tilt the pelvis. Breath on in. Exhale, think about push pulling. And for some of us, you could do, if you're savvy enough to understand this, you could do a micro tuck and back into a tilt, a micro tuck back into a tilt, all while tractioning that femur out of the socket. And then let that go. Both feet down onto the floor. Now you're going to lift the left knee on up, flex that left foot. You're going to kick it low and long. You're going to bring it on up, already sensing the pelvis heavy on top of the roller so that the right foot is light. That core is engaged. That heel toward the ceiling, you're going to stop before the knee bends or the foot goes past the ceiling. Pelvis is sinking. Breath on in. Exhale, think about the heel reaching toward the ceiling as the pelvis sinks. Think about even reaching the pubic bone away a little bit. That's it. One more breath. And then you're going to bend that knee, keeping that foot flexed, cross the left ankle over the right knee, find your core and bring both your legs on into your chest. It feels so good. And then bring both legs over, just angle it over to the right and feel that nice stretch in your left butt cheek. That's not the point of the move. It just feels nice. Come on back to center, left thigh on top of, left hand on top of left thigh. You're going to place the right one either on the heel of the left foot or behind the left thigh. You're going to make sure you find your 4-point square here. Okay, so no hiking at the hip. Breath on in, exhale. You're going to push that left thigh up and away, pulling the opposite one in towards you, keeping that 4-point square, tilting your pelvis. Breath on in, exhale, push, pull. And then if you're savvy enough, do a micro tuck and a micro tilt. Micro tuck, micro tilt, keep it in the tilt. Finding that length. Beautiful. Release that, bring both knees on into your chest, remove the roller out from underneath you, and get back into your rest assess position. Arms and legs extended, palms facing the ceiling. And just notice what you feel here. I feel a really lovely low back curve. I am right on the butt cheeks the way I'm supposed to be. I have a little bit of a gluteal fold. I feel the backs of my thighs evenly weighted on the outer third of both the heel and the calf. So cruise back on up to the upper body. Notice if any of that shifted for you, if you feel like you're like less curvy in the neck, turn your head from left to right. Notice if that feels a little jacked up from what we just did. Notice if now you still feel like you're on the backs of the knuckles or not. And if you still feel a little messy, let's clean it up. Let's just do a little finishing sauce here. So come on lengthwise onto the roller. And we're going to do finishing sauce with some upper body length. So make sure you're on all the way. Forearms down on the floor. Go into your gentle rocking. Noticing how that feels today. Come on back to center. Do your tuck and your tilt with your pelvis. Just notice your differentiation. It's always kind of interesting to notice differentiation at the end of a class, right? Mine still feels like it's a little messy, but again, I'm tired, so my nervous system is a little off. So this is all really good information for me. I'm tired and I'm cranky, right? I'm nervous system tired. So I guess that's what's up with me. It's what happens when I start doing harder workouts. Okay, find your middle spot and take some focused breaths into all sides of your body. Use your sound for a couple of breaths. It's part of the cool down, right? And again, really allowing all those sides to expand, and then exhaling, really getting a sense of that inward contraction, but also that broadening of the tissue in between the hip bones. Do it again, and this time just let your natural exhalation go. Then let's just do a little shoulder blade reach here. Just noticing how that feels. Noticing if one shoulder blade still feels a little off. And then let's just go right into double arm reach, opening up those arms, making sure they're above the torso, softening of the elbow, but the bicep faces the ceiling. And then it's as if you're trying to twist a little bit to get the forearms to also meet that same direction. So think about opening the elbows up just a little bit more. Palms of the hands and fingers are wide. Breath on in. On the exhalation, take that tension and reach it around a big tree. Oh, I feel that line of pull in my bicep. Breath on in on the exhalation. Let's floss the nerves, flex and extend in opposition. Maybe make a fist and do the same thing. And then open those palms wide and turn them toward the floor with the forearms and do the same thing. Finding that line of pull there. Flossing the nerves. Making a fist and doing the same thing. And then palms wide again, down onto the floor, no shrugging. Face up toward the ceiling, left palm stays glued to the floor as you gentle rock over to the right, tip the nose to the right, take a breath on in. Think the ribs, think the shoulders. Back to center and the opposite side. Right palm stays glued. You're gonna gentle rock over to the left. Tip the nose to the left, breath on in. Back to center, relax arms, gentle rocking. And then extending a leg out in front of you onto the floor and getting off for your final rest assess. Arms and legs extended, palms facing the ceiling. Yeah, that was a helpful. The finishing sauce always helps me out. So notice if you feel a little bit more relaxed on your mat. If you're, I feel like now my arms are calmed down. They were a little jacked up. Turning your head from left to right. If you had any gunk in the neck, that took it out for me. But notice what your low back curve is like. Maybe that actually corrected some things there. Maybe you feel more square on top of your pelvis. Notice how the legs are resting now on the floor. Notice if now, remembering what you sensed before, if now you feel a little more grounded and connected to the earth, if you feel more even from left to right based on your autopilot assessment. And then take a nice breath on into your body. Noticing if you released any restriction in the rib cage. And then thank yourself for showing up and being brave and doing moves that are kind of crazy today. And then come on up. Get some water, unmute. Let me know what you thought of that monster map of the day. It was pretty monstrous, I have to say. I may have overachieved for myself.
I was like, you're on a roll.
I don't know. How'd that go for you guys?
It was really great. I love the that the prep, the hydration before and after and sandwiching everything in between. It was great.
Good. Hard moves though. Jan, how'd you do with that? Up, unmute.
We can't hear you.
I know
There
there's a
she
lot
is.
of things I got to adjust, including I'm half sitting. It was good. It was really good to see some of the moves that I haven't learned before and to think about what really works for me. And right now, the level 1 and the level 2 moves are still my go-to.
Okay, perfect. That's
Yeah.
that you don't know until you try. Yeah, I think I saw you sitting out hover lunge, which I don't blame you. Yeah, it's a brutal.
There's no point in the olden days, I used to always try and I would hurt myself. And that's not what this is about. So
Good. Okay.
maybe I'll get there and maybe I won't, but the main thing is that I am pain-free. And so I'll take that.
Yep, you never have to do it. And honestly, if you want to get lower fibers of glutes to fire, what else can you do?
Well, I was doing, I don't remember what they're called, the neuro strength, pressing down and sliding my feet away. And so.
Mini
yeah,
bridge. Yeah, mini
yes,
bridge.
I was doing mini bridge to do that. Yeah.
And keep doing that. You never have to do hover and lunge ever in your entire life because it's not necessary. Who felt like they kind of got hover and lunge for the first time today? Anybody feel like that kind of kicked in?
I got it. I feel like I did get it on both sides, but more on the one than the other.
Okay,
So-
that might not have been, I don't think that was my strongest cueing, to be quite honest. I hope I was okay. I'm not even sure anymore. Feedback for me on that one? Anybody else? Trina, Joyce, Tony?
I got it more on one, and then I was getting it
Yeah.
on the actually inside of my inner thigh. And
Yeah.
that might have been because the plie one, I already had that connection, and then
Maybe.
upper and lunge, and I would get the outside hip, and then all of a sudden go back to the inner thigh, and then so I had to kind of get my pelvis. I think the foot that was forward,
Mm-hmm.
if I bring that hip back, that's what I concentrate on. Instead of bringing the other hip forward, I concentrate on bringing that hip.
Yeah, actually the foot the one that you're working, the pelvis you're working, which means the foot that's forward, it's more that you're thinking that hip is energizing down, not back, down.
Right.
But I understand you're thinking that, yeah, just square off the pelvis. You
square
were
it
thinking
off.
more of that. So another way to think of it is instead, you can think of that backwards, but then it's such a weird thought, but it's like, think about the pubic bone angling this way toward no, sorry, that's wrong. So the one that's forward, you want to then think pubic bone is then angling toward that front foot.
Oh,
It's kind of a
okay.
weird thought. And that's
So-
going to square you off a little bit better. Yeah.
So same thing, actually. I think of that hip coming back, which is
Mhm.
going towards
For
there.
me, when I think about the pubic bone or I think about energizing that hip down, I get it right in my glute, right in there. Yeah.
I think my
It's-
legs are a little tired too, because I was getting it, kind of all over. I would get in the hip,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden I would get in the quad. It's like,
Yeah.
darn it.
Yeah, I should have known better than to do that workout yesterday.
That's
Tony,
not-
Joyce, thoughts?
I just couldn't do the repatterning. Reintegration that's it.
Yeah, that's about all I had too. I don't know what I was thinking. I should have gotten out of it, but go.
I love the side hip hero. And
Yeah.
I was planning to teach monster sidestep this afternoon, so we'll see if I can do it. But I'm only teaching reintegration of most moves, so I'll probably
Just use your lightest band today.
yeah.
Just use your lightest band. Seriously, that'll help. How about you, Tony?
The hover and lunge is not my strong suit. I'm much stronger on one side, weaker, more unstable knee on the other side. So I just did what I did.
Okay.
I tried to take care of myself.
Yeah, I don't do hover and lunge often because a lot of people are like, I stink at that move. And I'm not great at it either. And I had to work on my cueing on that one because it is such a hard move and I don't do it often enough. So I'm not as proficient in my cueing on that one. So, but I have to do it again on Friday or else Patricia Broom will be very upset with me. She's the one who always sends me like the worst moves ever to do, like all the ones that I just don't want to do. Yeah, Trina.
That seated leg lift,
Yeah.
honestly, that is such a killer for me. Every time I think about doing it, I just
Where are you
cringe.
feeling it? Where are you feeling
I
it?
get cramps, like especially my right leg, like it just instantly cramps and it just kills. It's like you said, you put that knife in there. That's exactly what it felt like.
Well, good for you. You did it right. Oh, bye, Michelle. Okay.
Yeah, I don't even know, like, I can't get more than 2, like, honestly, 2 lifts, and it's like, I can't do it anymore.
Well,
It's
I didn't
just-
even do I didn't do the repattern. I just
Yeah,
did the 2 sides and said, forget it, we're out.
yeah, I do one, I do the other, and then the thought of going back to that other one is like,
Forget it, Baba Louie. You know, I gotcha. Yeah, I make myself do it because I have to, because my right knee is just, it needs it so badly. It's so important to do.
The last time I
So,
tried that one, I couldn't do it at all. And I don't think I've tried that one for like a year. So I was pleasantly surprised that I could actually even get my heel off the floor. So
that's
that was,
awesome.
yeah.
Hey,
some of the
Tony,
other stuff
yeah.
must have helped.
It must have, yeah. And it is funny when you come back to it. Tony, did that cueing help with the external rotation?
It did help, but interestingly, it helped on the side that I didn't think that I needed it on. So
Me too. Me
that
too.
was interesting. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that might be my cueing going forward. I think it seems to work and do the job. I don't know. I might have to tap that one in. How did we do on seated arm fans? Did that work for y'all? Was that a good one? Jan's like, not so sure. Okay.
Well, I don't have a lot of experience with it, so I don't know, but I did feel it in the backs of my shoulders, feeling that wrapping around. So
Mhm.
I was happy with that.
Yeah, there are a couple reasons why I love that one. Number one, it's great to teach with a group because you can see your people as you're doing it and you can kind of eyeball them and help cue them properly. It's a great way to really get serratus to engage, and you can do it without the band. You really can. Will you get as much work? No, but you will get a little bit of reintegration. You'll get that external rotation, as long as you maintain the forearm contact, get that J pose and then go into external rotation. So it's one worth practicing and just experimenting which level of roller is good for you, because some people are very uncomfortable being up high. Like Carrie has to get down on a half roller. So I don't know if that was helpful. Oblique twist.
Before you do that question,
Mhm.
so if my
Yes.
hip flexors feel like they're working hard, should I be on the half roller or, I mean, I think I would work harder
can-
if I was on the half roller.
You might. I mean, you kind of, the more you passively flex your hips, the less work you feel you have to do. So I would play with it. And if you feel like maybe you do better being propped up a little bit more, but you have to be careful because if you're up too much, then you lose the angle of the arm here. It starts to get less and less. You know what I
Well,
mean?
yeah, it let go a little bit if I moved my feet a little further out in front of me. That was a little bit better.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, the only thing is that you don't want to lose
Yeah, lose the
the angle. And then if you're like, I hate this one, then remember you've got standing, sideline, quadruped. You've got a million ways to get in that pathway. And then I think that's all we did with oblique twist.
I like that. I'd never done it before.
It's hard.
I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
I love
totally
it.
new for me.
Yeah. So
Good.
I didn't even do the pattern, which is being out and going back and then twisting this way.
My Lord.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's probably
it's
just
hard.
as well you didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. I quit after that one
I'll
too.
go with successfully completed.
Yeah, I mean, so this place where I'm supposed to be working at until, I don't have any clients yet, but so hopefully I just need a handful. I don't need a full book. I just need a couple on a regular basis. But what's great is I get to work out there, and it's this big, open, beautiful facility. And they take us, and it was just me and another gal doing teams. They call it team training. And it was everything. I like kettlebell swings, and then, doing this upright row, and then doing freaking burpees. I had to do a wall squat for 90 minutes. I had to hold a plank for 90 minutes. I had to do a TRX row. I am just fried. And then I don't know, my husband's out of town. It felt weird being without him because then I like catastrophize. I'm like, what if he never comes home again? It's like that's how I am. I'm a mess sometimes. And so I didn't sleep right. I woke up cranky and I'm sore and I'm like, meh. So I hope that didn't come through in my cueing. If it did, my apologies. It's like, I need to go back to bed.
I hope the rest of your day gets better.
I think it will. Luckily, I don't have anything else to really worry about except getting on a Q&A call at 3 o'clock. That's about it. But anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this series. And
was
thank you for
great.
joining me. And I think you'll see that I put the next month one on already, if that's one that you want to give a go at. Otherwise, there'll be another one in December and January. So thank you, everybody. As
Thank
always,
you so very much.
Bye.
thank you. See y'all soon.
See you.
Bye.